Hello again, Year 1 and Year 2. It's Tuesday the 9th of June today, and we're going to be starting to stack some sentences today to rewrite the story of Piper from the video we watched yesterday. So I will explain what I mean in more depth now. Before I do that, it might be a really good idea for you to go back to the video of Piper and watch it again, maybe once or twice, just to keep that story fresh in your head and remind you how it went. You should also have your story mountain from yesterday just nearby so that you can use it whenever you need to. Okay? So pause this video here and have another look at the film for a moment now. Okay, so yesterday, children, we talked about the 9 plot points from the video, didn't we? We split the video into 9 chunks, and over the next 9 days, we're going to be writing 1 chunk a day. And by the end of it, we'll have a brilliant piece of writing that retells that story really, really well. Okay, and we're going to be doing it by stacking sentences one on top of the other, a bit like Lego, to build this piece of writing nice and slowly. Okay, so here we go. So this is how it's going to work, children. Every day we're going to focus on 1 plot point. Today we'll focus on the first plot point. And every day we'll have 2 different writing challenges, okay? And I will explain to you what they mean, and I will show you how to do them. You'll see inside my mind, you'll see inside my brain as a writer, and you'll see how I think when I'm writing, what kinds of choices I make. I might keep some words, I might throw some words in the bin and swap them over. You'll see all of that, all of my brain working. And then, when I've shown you how to do these writing challenges, I'll give you a chance to go away and have a go at writing your chunk using these 2 writing challenges. So it sounds a little bit complicated right now, but I promise it's really, really simple. Okay, so are you ready to take a trip inside my mind? Here we go. So plot point 1, children, is, I'm calling it dinner time. Okay, that's the beginning of the story when Piper, really, really hungry, Mummy's gone away to go and get some food, and Piper cannot wait to eat something. And I've popped the timestamp here so that you can go and just watch that section if you'd like to. From 25 seconds to 47 seconds. That's the part of the story we're focusing on today. And our writing challenges, number 1, we've got interesting verbs. In our first sentence, we're going to be seeing if we can use really interesting action words. So not just go or went. We might have flapped or flew or fluttered, I'm not sure. We're going to look at interesting verbs, action words, to really paint a picture in the reader's head. Okay? And then we will be using adverb sentence starter for our second sentence. Now, you probably don't know what an adverb is yet, but do not worry, I will explain. Okay? So all will become clear, all will be revealed. Let's have a look at our first writing challenge, because we know what interesting verbs are, don't we? And we've used them lots in our writing at school. So let's have a look. Come in and join me on my writing journey and have a look in my mind to see how I work as a writer. Okay, children, so when I first start to write, I first think about the idea of my sentence. So I want to tell you what was happening at the beginning of the story. So at the beginning of the story, Mum, just going to write it down, just going to get my ideas down on paper. Mum flew away, didn't she? Mum flew away to get some food. And I'm going to put a full stop at the end of my sentence. And I've got a capital letter there at the start. Mum flew away to get some food. That is what happened, isn't it? But it's not very exciting. Mum flew away to get some food. Here's where my first writing challenge comes in. I want to add interesting verbs. So let's go through my sentence. It's fine, but it's not great. And spot the verbs, the action words. Mum flew away, didn't she, to get some food. Now I've got two verbs in my sentence, neither of which are very exciting. So I'm going to have a think now about some different verbs I could use to replace these ones because they're not great. Okay? So I've got my sentence and now I'm going to try and swap some words to make it more exciting. So instead of having Mum flew away, what else could I have? Oh, some flying verbs. I could have soar. You could soar away, couldn't you? I could have, what else could I have? Flutter. That sounds a bit like the bird, the wings of a bird flapping around. Flutter. Oh, what about flap? Like that one, flap. I could have waft. That's like when something wafts around, it sort of floats around. Or maybe I could have one that is quite a speedy word, jet. What about jet? Okay, so I've come up with some different, pretty interesting adjectives verbs, if I do say so myself. But now I need to choose one. Now I don't want soar because Mum didn't fly very high, and soaring suggests that they flew for a long time. She didn't fly for a long time, so I'm not going to use that one. I'm not going to have soar. Nope. I'm not going to have waft because when you waft around, it's sort of like a dress might waft or my skirt might waft, but not really a bird. I think I'm going to have fluttered. I love that word, fluttered. Now I've got flutter here and I need to turn it into the past tense. So I'm going to add 2 letters to the end, fluttered, ed, to make that word into the past tense. Today I flutter, yesterday I fluttered. So I'm going to take away my flew and I'm going to add fluttered. Mum fluttered away to get some food. I quite like that. Okay, so I've got an interesting verb here, but I don't have one here. Let's get our thinking hats back on, shall we? Okay, how could our mummy bird get some food? She could catch it, couldn't she? Let's write that down. Catch. What else could she do? She could grab it. You might grab a bit of food. If you're extra hungry, you might grab really quickly. She might capture some food because it's going to be a bug, isn't it? So she might capture it. Catch it. You could also say you might bag something to eat. I'm going to go and bag myself something to eat. Or maybe some people might say nab. She's going to nab herself a bite to eat. So I've got a few different action words now, and I'm going to choose my favourite. Mum fluttered away to grab some food. I like that. Mum fluttered away to nab some food. Not sure. Mum fluttered away to catch some food. I'm going to go with grab. Quite like that. I'm going to get rid of my get because it's so boring. I don't want get. I want grab. Mum fluttered away to grab some food. I quite like that. I've got 2 interesting verbs now. Well done me. Okay, what happened next? Piper, capital letter because that's the beginning of a sentence. Piper looked into the distance, didn't he? Into the distance and saw his mother catch a juicy worm, full stop. Okay, now again, I'm going to have a think about my interesting verbs here. So I've got looked, it's not very interesting, and saw, again, not very interesting. Let's start with looked. What else could I have for look? So I've got stared here, I could have glanced. That's a looking word, isn't it? Glanced. I could have peered. Quite like that one. And maybe gazed. Okay, those are my options. I'm going to choose. We can't have glanced because when you glance, you kind of look really quickly. And I could see that Piper was not looking just a little bit. He was looking a lot. So I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to have... I quite like peered because when you peer, you sort of squint your eyes like as if the sun's getting into them and you're looking right into the distance. So I'm going to have peered. Quite like that. It tells me that he was looking at something really far away. So I've got peered. Piper peered into the distance and saw his mum catch a juicy worm. Let's have a think about saw then. We could have a noticed. You can notice something, can't you? Noticed. And spotted, perhaps. Which one do you like? I quite like spotted. Spotted his mother catch a juicy worm. Catching. We could have spotted his mother catching a juicy worm. Okay, so now I've got lots of interesting verbs. Let's read it again together, shall we? There's another one there with peered, isn't there? Okay, here we go. Mum fluttered away to grab some food. Piper peered into the distance and spotted his mother catching a juicy worm. Full stop. Pause the video here. And I'd like you to write 1 or 2 sentences to stack at the beginning of your little chunk, thinking about interesting verbs. You might need to ask a grown-up to help you think of some interesting verbs. So pause the video and have a go, and then come back for the second writing challenge of the day. Okay, so now we're looking at adverb sentence starters. Now an adverb, children, is a word that describes how somebody does something. And adverbs usually end in ly. Okay, they usually end in, so you might have quickly, or quietly, or angrily. These are all adverbs, and they tell me how somebody does something. So you might stamp your feet angrily, or whisper quietly. Okay, and we're going to start our sentence with an ly word. Now in my sentence, I'm going to talk about the fact that Piper was really hungry and he couldn't wait to be fed. Okay, so how do you think he might be behaving, Piper, as he's waiting to have his food? He might be waiting excitedly. Now I'm writing a capital letter because I know I'm going to use these words at the start of my sentence. He might be waiting hungrily. He might be waiting desperately. He might be waiting impatiently. That means he's not being very good at waiting his turn. Impatiently. Now I like that one, so I think I'm going to use that one. But you could use any of these, any of my ideas, or some of your own. So I'm going to drag that one across. Impatiently, comma, I use a comma after my adverb because it's a sentence starter. Impatiently, comma, the little bird, or we could have the hungry little bird. What did he do? Sort of made bird noises. What bird noises do you know? Chirp. He chirped and twittered. Impatiently, comma, the hungry little bird chirped and twittered, desperate to be fed. Full stop. Desperate to be fed. Okay, so can you see that I have used an ly word, an adverb, at the start of my sentence to tell the reader how little Piper was waiting. Okay, why don't you pause the video and have a go, and then you can come back and look at how I've stacked my sentences on top of one another. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at using some interesting verbs and an adverb, an ly word, at the beginning of one of your sentences, followed by a comma. Shall we read through what my first chunk of writing sounds like? Here we go. Mum fluttered away to grab some food, full stop. Piper peered into the distance and spotted his mother catching a juicy worm. Impatiently, the hungry little bird chirped and twittered, desperate to be fed, full stop. I quite like that. It's really nice. And you can see that I stacked my sentences on top of one another, and when I read them together, they made quite a nice piece of writing. So could you take a picture of your chunk from today, from plot point 1, and send it to your teacher for them to have a look at? Hopefully you could tick off today's 2 writing challenges using interesting verbs and an adverb sentence starter. And if you look at my work, here I've got some interesting verbs: fluttered, grab, peered, spotted, and an adverb, an ly word, at the beginning of my sentence, impatiently, followed by a comma, to show the reader how my little bird was chirping and twittering. Well done, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow.